Hello, we are transmitting to you from our present, which we can only assume is your distant past, the turbulent time that was the early 21st century. Fearing the great cataclysm that will surely befall our civilization, we began this monumental reference of strange and obscure human knowledge. These recordings represent our attempt to compile and preserve wonders and esoterica that would otherwise be lost. Whether you're listening from an advanced civilization or have just reinvented the technology to decrypt our transmissions, this is our legacy to you. This is our time capsule. This is the Omnibus.
You have accessed entry 928.PR1027, certificate number 22651. The Phantom Time Hypothesis.
Who knows what the time?
Speaking of time travel, you're wearing a hat.
Yeah, people who are not watching this show on YouTube are going to miss the fact that I'm wearing a jaunty hat.
They don't know that Long Winters is now a swing revival band.
So this hat...
They had no idea that you joined the Big Bad Voodoo Daddy.
We were playing a show in Winnipeg 15 years ago, and at a theater, that was used, multiple purpose theater in Winnipeg. And this hat was sitting on the stage when we arrived, middle of the afternoon, to load in. And so I put the hat on and started walking around. And
free hat.
Well, and that's the thing. And so someone that worked at the place said, "Wow, you're wearing the hat. You're wearing like Arnie's hat." And I was like, "Who's Arnie?" And
Who is Arnie?
They said Arnie was an old man that lived here in Winnipeg that everybody knew, that like walked the alleys collecting old cans. And he was a beloved figure. And then Arnie one day he died or whatever, and his hat ended up with the manager of the theater. And the hat's been here just kind of around the theater for several years.
But is it bad luck? Would no Winnipegger ever?
Well, no. So then everybody wore the hat.
By the way, I hope I never hear the phrase, he died or whatever.
He died or whatever.
Like at my funeral, if somebody says he died or whatever. Oh my
hey,
gosh.
everybody. So Ken died or whatever. We're having a thing for him.
Did you just yada yada Ken's death?
But so the manager of the theater came over and was like, "That hat looks so good on you." And I was like, "Yeah, I learned all about Arnie." And then the theater manager said, "I want you to have the hat."
Wow.
And I was like, "No, the hat belongs in Winnipeg. It belongs to the community."
Nobody in that theater had ever conveyed the spirit of an elderly, unhoused man the way you did.
And they said, "Take the hat." So then the rest of the tour, I wore the hat for the whole tour. I was very comfortable in the hat. And I came back home and I had a haberdasher by the name of Connolly put a new hat band in it.
Your Irish haberdasher.
And it changed. Well, he's actually African-American. But
his name's Connolly.
His name was Connolly. He was the last real haberdasher of the old Seattle haberdasheries. And he put the hat band in it, but it kind of made the hat a little bit too small.
It is a little too small.
Because it had, all of a sudden, it didn't fit anymore.
You look a little like a Hanna-Barbera character.
And I felt terrible that I had screwed up my own hat by trying to improve it. And then Connolly died, or whatever. And so, here we are. But I wear the hat around the house. Anyway, the reason I put on this sweater because it was cold down here.
Okay.
But I put on the hat.
It's good to have the backstory behind every good work of art starts with the full backstory on every article of clothing that the artist is wearing. That's why the Sgt. Pepper's is so good. Like, we're wearing epaulets.
I know. Think about that.
Mine's blue.
We talk about the costumes as much as the record. But in this case, I'm also wearing a sweater because I realized again, for the YouTube listeners, and that's the last I'm going to refer to them.
The last time you're going to disenfranchise the vast majority of people on a podcast who do not want to see this video.
That's right. The people who, they're not listeners on YouTube. Some of them are, but the watchers.
Do you feel like they're not listeners?
They're listening.
They just have the sound down. They're like, it's so comforting to have this split screen of John and Ken silently yammering away.
No, but there are people who listen on YouTube as an audio podcast. It's just their format.
Because YouTube does have an audio platform.
But we record 2 shows on the same day.
Sometimes more.
And so our 8th anniversary show, which has already aired. Now this show is coming out some other time.
You son of you just did a costume change.
I did a costume change.
And you didn't tell me.
Because we're wearing the same shirt.
I didn't do the Jeopardy play and bring 5 suits.
Yeah, I know, but you're like, you don't even care about the video. You're just sitting with your nose on the microphone.
I really don't want to be on video. This show should have been over an hour ago, but the video.
Because you don't.
The video has some technical issues.
You don't have your makeup person here. You're not wearing your skinny tied suit.
The main problem is I'm not getting paid.
Yeah.
When you do Omnibus now, ka-ching.
Oh,
when I'm doing Omnibus, it's like, let's go hang out with John, but we have to talk about conquistadors or something.
Yeah.
That's my take on Omnibus. What's it about? Conquistadors or whatever.
Yeah, but they
died or whatever.
Think about how much hanging out with me is like getting paid.
Yeah.
You're getting paid in good time.
I mean, this is your approach to interns. Why should I pay them? They get to see me.
It's always been my approach to girlfriends. Hey, being with me is kind of like having a great job that you love.
You're saying many of them want to get paid. Is that where this is going?
Ouch, no.
They're expecting that?
And when you say many of them, there haven't been that many girlfriends over the years. A countable number.
Sorry. Some percentage of them.
Some small percentage of them ask themselves, why am I doing this?
I see.
And then I say, it's like having a great job that's also challenging.
I mean, if you have to explain to your significant other the basis of a relationship, maybe it's not working out.
Yes, this has been a reoccurring problem. Let me explain why you shouldn't break up with me right now. So Ken...
Speaking of breaking up, I'm back on the show.
That's right. You tried to quit me, but you couldn't quit me.
This is like one of those weird shows after the Beatles break up, but like John and Paul get so high, they leap up on stage at Keith Moon's birthday party or something.
That almost never happened. It was always George and Ringo that got up with Paul or John.
Yes. This is more like just Paul hanging out at John's house, but he's smoking a bunch of weed, except you're not.
Nope. You're not either.
Nobody is.
No.
And nobody's having a good time.
Only a couple instances. But what's great is that you haven't gone out in public and talked to me like John did to Paul.
Aren't you John in this story? I guess it's unclear.
Right. I guess I'm John. Well, I haven't said anything mean about you either.
No. You want me back on the show.
Always nice. Do I?
You're trying to explain to me how this relationship works.
Was I? It's like The Godfather Part 3. Just when you thought you were out, I pulled you back in, and that's going to happen every single time you express in any way, like via text, like, hey, buddy, what's going on? We should get together. And I'm like, oh, got some time off? So your sales pitch for people listening to the new Omnibus when I come back is that it's like Godfather Part 3. The best of the 3 Godfathers. You liked the earlier appearances of Ken, but now we finally got a good one. It's Godfather Part 3 level. That's right. He's going to come in and complain about how long it takes. It's going to be about the Vatican for some reason. We don't have Robert Duvall. You're just describing the last 8 years of the show. This is about the Vatican, huh? Well, it's about time. Is it Holy Roman Emperors instead of popes? I can't remember, because I know a little bit about time. It's about time and being a flat circle, which is one of the omnibus questions when you try and sign up for the Facebook page. It's about time is definitely something people say in the first 20 minutes of the omnibus they're listening to. That's right. Hey. Well, no, 40 minutes in. It's about time. They're not talking about their kids anymore. Well, we've talked a lot about the 18th and 19th centuries. Some say too much. We have talked a lot about crackpot theories. We've talked a lot about Western Civ. That's right. I mean, that overlaps a little with the 18th and 19th century. That's right. At least in Europe it did. Less so in Asia. That's true. We've talked less about the 19th century in Asia. Do kids have to take Eastern Civ in China?
I failed Eastern Civ.
I bet they do.
What about, like in New Zealand, are they like, I'm stuck to go study for Southern Civ?
I think in New Zealand
they barely have Civ.
Yeah, they don't really talk about anything before 1904.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know why 1904.
I just invented that number for the purposes of illustrating that New Zealand is
in the past.
As a young nation. We've also talked about a lot of crackpots.
Of various kinds.
Theories.
Yeah, like we like a good conspiracy theory on Omnibus. But we also like religious nuts, cult leaders.
Right. There's going to be all of that in today's episode.
This is kind of the new thing where you build up audience anticipation. You're explaining to people why they should keep listening.
That's right. Don't leave the show yet.
If you listen to the show to fall asleep, bad news, because John is now enumerating reasons not to before he starts to get boring.
More to come.
Yeah.
You know, I studied in college.
You did not.
For decades.
You never studied in college.
I did. I started in college in 1987, and I graduated from college in 2015.
But did you ever study in any of those years?
I did.
You were in the library?
I had been to the library.
Could you find the Gonzaga Library on a map?
I could. Sure. The Father Coughlin Library.
Really?
I think so.
Like named for like Charles Coughlin, the awful radio fascist?
No. A different
nicer
one.
Father Coughlin.
And I'd been to the Suzzalo Library quite a handful of times.
I was there recently. You know it's got scaffolding all over it now? They must be doing something to the UW Library.
No, the last time I went, I was a little mad because I went with my daughter and a couple of her friends, and some undergraduates stopped me at the security gate inside the door, and I was like, just coming in to show these teens the inside of the great library.
A normal thing that you can do.
And they said, sorry, you have to have a student ID to get in past the door.
Wait, what? Is this new?
Yeah, I guess.
Is it permanent?
I don't know.
I used to go in there all the time.
And I said, well, I just want to take them like
to the reading room.
15 feet. Oh, no. It wasn't the Suzzalo. It was the Odegaard.
Oh, it was the Odegaard?
It was
student only?
And I said, I just want to take them 15 feet there so they can look up and see the skylight and see the panopticon. And they said, no.
Did you say you were an alumnus?
I said, I went to the UW. I said, do you know who I am? I said, I am going to, who's your manager? No, I didn't say any of that. I just stared at these dumb 19-year-olds and I was like, really? Really? This is how you keep America safe?
I was in Odegaard a couple years ago. When did it become student only? By the way, that was not inadvertent ding.
That was hit the table in a mild ding.
We now use the bell in conjunction with the pounding sound to mean I couldn't go to the library.
Ka-ping!
It's not for puns anymore.
Well, anyway, so I was mad. But yes, I have been into multiple libraries over the years, but I read a lot of photocopied pamphlets because I went to the campus photocopy room a lot and got excerpts.
For your zine. Your heavy metal zine that you were making.
My zine that I wrote under the name.
What if you had a zine? That's funny.
My name was Trey Boucher. Thank you. But no, I studied.
Your sobriquet was Trey Boucher?
My sobriquet
was Tret Bouchette.
I majored in the comparative history of ideas, which was the history of ideas, but compared.
Compared to other ideas or compared to something outside of the history of ideas entirely?
No, various ideas of history compared.
I see, the ideas within the history compared to each other.
Yeah, and various histories, historical narratives compared with
different ways to compare, different comparisons of different ways to order ideas into history.
That's exactly it.
Finally.
And many other ways of taking the word compare, history, and idea and superimposing them on one another. But, what you learn and what we've talked about a lot on Omnibus is that history is kind of an evolving discipline. It always is. You don't think of history.
Right. It would be fixed.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you read the bonehead things they thought about the Spanish Civil War the next year, and you're like, well, that's not what we teach now.
Exactly,
or
right? I mean, you think about physics being evolving everything, or paleontology or geology. I mean, we can think of recent times where big new discoveries, big innovations have changed the way we think about, even about time. But there is a tendency to think, well, we know what happened in the Napoleonic Wars, and it's not in doubt, and how many interpretations really are there? But in fact, history is also always evolving.
I saw a hot take on Genghis Khan the other day.
What was it?
I think we talked about this, just the fact that the Mongol horde was just as advanced as any other civilization, but they were just moving around. They're basically Rome, but they can move around.
Yeah. They had little ponies.
And think about you and I going to school in a time when we were taught that the Civil War wasn't really about slavery. I mean, not from a racist point of view, but just more like, it's so complicated.
Yeah, it was very complicated.
And now that kind of history is not just unfashionable, it's, recognize that it's untrue.
Well, and I think that students in school now learn, in some ways, a markedly different American history than we did with an eye on the founding fathers and the founding documents, a much more critical.
Yeah, Ken Burns is doing American Revolution right now as we record this, and a lot of viewers are surprised that it is not just a straight down the plate thing like his Civil War,
right, or his baseball.
Yeah. Would you say that's the Ken Burns documentary that's most about being straight down the plate?
Straight down the plate,
not jazz. That was Straight No Chaser. But in fact, it's more like his Vietnam War documentary where he's got the benefit of a lot of new scholarship.
Yeah, he's teaching the controversy in a new and different way. But I think, as we see a generation of students come up with this take on it, we know that it will continue to evolve. And 25 years from now, who knows?
It will get synthesized into something else.
And so I think like some of the big ones that we saw in our own lifetimes were recognizing plate tectonics as having a major, as even existing, let alone having a major effect on.
It's crazy how late that was.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Didn't exist when we were born.
Like in the 70s or something, people were like, here's how the continents were moving.
And I remember very distinctly the theory of the giant comet landing in the Yucatan and or the meteorite landing in the Yucatan and wiping out the dinosaurs. That was only proposed, that was the Alvarez hypothesis. It was only proposed in 1980, and the majority of scientists doubted it, mocked it, as...
they thought the dinosaurs just all had hemorrhoids.
Yeah, the dinosaurs got sad and all died of sadness.
And cure killed the dinosaurs.
We also, just in our own times, one of our omnibus entries, the Lake Missoula flood here in Washington State that produced all of these giant canyons, and it was a cataclysm, but a very short-lived one.
A lot of your examples are from history or from prehistory.
Right. And so these are, examples of how something even as seemingly understood and settled as the passage of time on the earth, as examined or as visible in the strata.
Yeah,
it's all geology itself, very evolving discipline.
I mean, the further back you go, the more likely you are to see headlines like, "Oh, it turns out humans lived in such and such a place literally 100,000 years longer than we thought," or we're open to the idea that what was now settled could have been wrong by tens of thousands of years.
Right.
And, that doesn't happen with the Napoleonic Wars so much. Like, it's unclear whether they're in the 19th century or the 20th century. But the further back you go, this kind of stuff is still evolving.
What's important to remember is that most of these scientific disciplines are only products of the 19th century.
Right.
There wasn't paleontology. There wasn't really anything close to what we think of as geology. There wasn't.
Geologists must have had the best jobs because there'd be nothing to do. Just be a geologist in the 17th century.
Sure.
Just twiddle your thumbs at the office all day.
Hasn't been invented yet.
Hardly any rocks to look at.
I'm the chair of the geology department, and what do I have to do?
No paperwork even.
Just throwing paper airplanes across the... And so most of the history of the world was still kind of taken from biblical accounts, and a lot of just sort of walking around, kicking dirt, and feeling, I think, until the suggestion arrived that things weren't always this way. Most people just accepted that this mountain's always been here, this ocean's always been here, these rocks have always been here. And the explosion in the scientists, or in the scientists in science.
They were so surprised when geology started existing.
In the sciences.
They literally exploded.
There were
a Spinal Tap drummer.
There were a lot of, obviously, competing theories, but they kind of divided into two schools of whether the great events in history happened as a result of long processes, erosion.
Right. Are these continuous, basically?
Continuous, where over time we see sediments deposited, and this is kind of proto-Darwinism.
Yeah.
In the sense of seeing rocks and so forth as evolving gradually. Basically, assuming that what life is like now, which is mostly cataclysm-free, this is how life has always been.
A series of slow changes, then as now.
And that became sort of a catch-all phrase describing that as uniformitarianism.
Right.
Have we ever mentioned uniformitarianism on the show? I don't
even know if we've mentioned Unitarianisam.
No, we certainly have. In one of our many shows about 19th century religion.
I'm going to leave the Catholic Church and become a uniformitarian because I just like the community of having a religion. We just sit and talk about how rocks are always the same.
Uniformitarians.
That cliff is changing very slowly.
Very slowly.
You can't see it. You got to have faith.
But the sea is wearing away at it. It's not like it's always been. There is science in it. In fact, it kind of ends up being the predominant theory.
Right.
That things are sort of...
We don't want to give it away, but the other theory, a series of cataclysms, has an early age as well, right?
Well, so the other story, or the other kind of way of seeing that taking that early evidence into account was catastrophism, which was an idea that most of the geology of the earth, most of the what we think of as prehistory, was a result of static times like now, or static times like 1810, and then
there's a really bad week and a mountain appears.
That's right. Major earthquake, major planetary realignment, some disaster.
We haven't seen it because we're lucky enough to be living in a time without those.
Volcanoes, and in particular, floods.
Ah, right. Because this aligns with we'll get it from the Bible point of view, right?
So for most of the history of the West, right, the Bible was also the historic account, as well as, you get texts from the Greeks and texts from the Muslim world, Roman stories, and Egypt.
Yeah.
But the Bible and the Old Testament stories, the plagues, the Exodus, all of these were assumed to be historical events that are rooted in time, and a lot of work was done, a lot of scholarship kind of trying to connect Greek myth to Egyptian history to the biblical narrative.
Can we find ruins that match the Bible timeline?
Right.
Right.
Is this evidence of the flood in particular, being the one that was presumed to be the cataclysm that engulfed the earth?
And this turned into the thing we still see today, which is people just looking for Noah's Ark all the time. A huge group of America fascinated with who's looking for Noah's Ark.
That's right. That's right.
Someday they're going to find it. Then the joke will be on me.
And the catastrophism kind of split into two general groups, the Neptunists and the Plutonists. The Neptunists believed that the Earth...
Two different kinds of occult movement.
Yeah, that waves
Neptune.
and
the ocean.
The ocean was the major mover, And the Plutonists felt like volcanism was where you got like the big cataclysm.
I like how they have to choose.
Yeah.
Because clearly they all know it's got to be both, but no. Like,
which could it be?
Like my identity is Plutonist. It's more volcanoes.
And the uniformitarianists were even then kind of very influential. In 1785, a man by the name of James Hutton kind of generalized it in terms of saying the world as we know it is the result of process, and it isn't cataclysm. And this was a kind of also not just a naturalist perspective, but a deist one.
It allows God to occasionally intercede.
Right.
We're not seeing it now because he's not in the mood.
But it's an enlightenment idea,
yes.
Right? That God isn't out there throwing lightning bolts at us. The earth of an organism that, it's its own process.
I see. He's wound the watch of earthquakes or whatever.
And in the early 19th century, there were so many of these, and we've talked about them many times before, aristocratic scientist playboys who were doing a lot of real science. And one of those was a man by the name of George Cuvier, who was basically the founder of paleontology. He is the one that advanced a theory of extinction, that discovered fossils and said, this is an animal that used to exist and the whole species died out.
Something that had not occurred to anyone before.
Yeah, prior to that, it was assumed that all the animals that were on Noah's Ark were the animals that we saw. There weren't saber-toothed tigers or anything like that. So Cuvier wrote in French his theory of the earth, and established kind of these theories, based on his new paleontology. And Cuvier was both a very respected scientist and is now, but also, as he got older, really against the theory of evolution.
Huh.
So there was a lot of throughout this whole story, these scientists are people that do good work, are doing lasting, legendary work, but also get a little bit like off of their world of expertise and start kind of advancing more grandiose theories of the world.
Although evolution seems like it should be within the purview of a paleontologist.
You would think so.
But I guess he are his dates such that Darwinism was pretty new?
Yeah, Darwinism came along. I mean, his book was 1813. Darwinism came, obviously quite a bit later. But Cuvier thought that that there were cataclysms, but that, and this is the thing, it led to extinctions rather than that creatures evolved.
Yeah.
And he could not see in the paleontological record evidence of evolution. He saw things just die in big, like they were here and then they were gone.
He was not wrong about mass extinctions. I guess with a much bigger fossil sample size, it's easier to see what we now know to be evolutionary adaptation, right?
Yeah, and I mean Cuvier also was, he did like racial studies that were at the basis of some pretty bad scientific racism later. But the big problem with Cuvier is that his work was translated into English by a man named Robert Jameson.
So far, that doesn't seem like a problem.
Well, the problem was that Jameson, the French and the European Enlightenment was kind of much more rationalist compared to some more evangelical elements in the United Kingdom.
Most of their scientists were also parsons or something?
Yeah, right. And Robert Jameson interpreted a lot of Cuvier's catastrophism as evidence of biblical biblical archaeology.
Miracles.
Yeah. Well, it's that time of year, and depending on where you live, you could be in a real cold snap at the time, and it makes shopping difficult. You probably don't have time to cook. You probably didn't want to go out into the blizzard and buy ingredients, and that's why Factor Meals, again, comes to the rescue. Factor makes healthy eating easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs. So you can eat well without the planning or the cooking. The thing I love about Factor is, yes, it has quality functional ingredients, including lean proteins and delicious vegetables, whole food ingredients, healthy fats, but also no refined sugar, no artificial sweeteners, which I personally believe I can taste in all instances, and no refined seed oils. There are 100 rotating weekly meals, so you never get bored. Things stay fresh. You can choose different kinds of meals, high protein, calorie smart, Mediterranean diet, which is how you actually improve your health, I think, but I never can actually discipline myself that much, which is why I'm on GLP-1s, and they have GLP-1 support meals and ready-to-eat salads. Now, additionally, they have Muscle Pro collection, which supports strength and recovery. These are always fresh, never frozen. They show up at your door. They're ready in about 2 minutes with no prep and no stress. I love these meals. They're actually really delicious, and they encourage me to eat foods that I wouldn't otherwise try. I certainly wouldn't know how to make for myself. So head to factormeals.com/omnibus50OFF and use the code omnibus50off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Eat like a pro this month with Factor. That's for new subscribers only, and it varies by plan. 1 free breakfast item per box for 1 year while subscription is active. Noah's flood, a big part of his story. And his translation then was taken up by William Buckland, another sort of devout scientist, writer, Englishman, who really, really wanted to promote a theory of the earth as an example of biblical archaeology. And this is, even now, very reputable scientists are trying to connect not just Noah's flood, but the events of the Bible to historical events. And you see it, when I was in Jerusalem just a couple of years ago, there's a lot of archaeology being done to connect, to really find the historical King David. And there just isn't that much evidence in the ground or anywhere.
Does that mean this is the kind of science you wouldn't actually do if you didn't have a big base of eager religious believers to call for it and fund it? Or?
Well, no, I think it's very tempting.
David's he's a national founder.
Right.
know?
And I think one of the things, if you look at Israeli coinage, the emblem on a lot of their money is this sort of Corinthian, the top of a column. And the top of the column was found at the temple in Jerusalem, the destroyed temple. And it resembles the top of a column in a different archaeological site that has reference to King David, somewhere out in the desert.
And so this is the closest thing to a smoking gun for the existence of David.
Because in Jerusalem, there's not any, in the temple, there's no, and there's a lot of reason or stories about why. It was all burned by the Babylonians.
Right.
But this little bit of Corinthian stone, or, and it's pre-Corinthian, obviously, too, but a fancy bit of stone is the tie-in that connects King David and all that follows to Jerusalem and all that follows. So it's tempting, I think, for people even without, I think clearly sort of political.
National identity.
Yeah, national identity. But there's new discoveries all the time, and there's so much we want to know. We talked on the show about the Greek Dark Ages, and our own medieval times. All these periods where there wasn't a ton of writing, there isn't a lot of evidence.
And the premise of Omnibus is that continues today, despite the avalanche of content, that there are still going to be dark ages and holes in the record.
Right. We're coming out of what will be thought of as a dark age before people had Instagram.
Why did they stop keeping their photos? Oh, it all went away in the neutron bombs.
So the flood narrative, was and remains for a lot of people the most convincing explanation for a lot of what you see in archaeology. A Swiss scientist by the name of Louis Agassiz advanced the idea of glacial, terraforming. And of course, living here in Seattle, every day when you're trying to get across town and you're like, why is there no road?
Why is there nothing east-west here?
Yeah, why is there no road that goes straight down this cliff?
The answer begins 40,000 years ago or something.
Yeah. So we, again, like glacial terraforming is a theory that took a while for people to accept. And now we all understand it to be very much a shaping influence.
Do you remember, some Omnibus listener wrote like some definitive book about the Agassiz family. Is that right? Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah.
I think send us a copy. So, yeah, we should have known all this about the glaciers.
And I think we do. I mean, growing up in Alaska, you were taught, and I think this is true in any mountainous place, you were taught if the valley is shaped like a V, it was made by a river, and if it's shaped like a U, it was made by a glacier.
It's not really a mnemonic. River. Glacier.
Yeah, it's not really. But, Alaskans don't, we're not poets.
You don't know the alphabet anyway.
No, it's real cut and dry. It's a brutalist
It
culture.
should rhyme. If it looks like a V, then a glacier it be. If it looks like a U, a river runs through. See? There we go.
But it's the opposite.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. Womp womp.
I did not help
If
Alaska.
it looks like a V, a glacier, it not be.
Luckily, you can just switch the words. They're both two syllables.
But so over, I think, the course of the 19th and early 20th century, uniformitarianism, and in particular, sort of as Darwin and evolution were accepted, that had wide-ranging effects on how everyone, that then also affected what we saw when we looked at paleontology. It affected our whole understanding of time being both a flat circle and also a continuous line through.
I guess this is the question.
Times.
Uniformitarianisms are the flat circle people.
And what's interesting is that uniformitarianism then became the dominant theory enough that the impulse was to suppress the ideas of giant catastrophes affecting history, like comets and floods. They were seen as maybe revanchist or retrograde. And so now we see our theories now include cataclysms, but don't think about the whole shape of the earth and the whole history of time as being primarily cataclysm-based.
Another thing that happened in very recent history is that this hit evolutionary theory, right? Like in the 70s, the idea of evolution came to involve what do they call punctuated equilibria? I think that's the Stephen Jay Gould term, where, things do evolve gradually, but sometimes evolution is very concentrated to almost a cataclysmic degree in a shorter period of time. So yeah, I guess it's not all uniform.
Well, and this is, with only one step back from this, we can see that clearly our theory of history is still evolving. Because this tendency to say it's both is a little bit sort of spackling over what we don't know, which is most things, right? It's the problem with people saying, well, it's the great man theory of history. No, it's the opposite of that. And it's like, well, you got to account for...
A lot of that is fashion. Because a lot of it is just what people want to write about. Like I see holes in an existing theory.
And I'm going after it.
I'm going after them. And obviously, the old stuff will not get discredited so much as it gets synthesized, right, into something new.
By the end of the 19th century, this uniformitarianism was kind of the predominant way of thinking, but there was still a lot of interest from Christian and Jewish people in the sciences to, again, just find a way to see record of the plagues, of the story of Exodus, of there was a lot by this time. There were a lot of records of ancient Greece, of the Canaanites, of the Babylonians, and particularly Egyptology.
Yeah, there were sites.
There was a lot. And so if Exodus was true, and Exodus, of course, is the foundation of a lot of the, how we see history, and there's a lot of justification drawn from it as in terms of Christian and, all sort of Western religion sprouts out from it.
Yeah.
It surely must be recorded also by Egyptian scholars.
And yet,
it's going to be in the hieroglyphics somewhere, right? And
it's the most important thing in the Bible, so it must be everywhere in these ruins.
Right. Wouldn't the Greeks also have heard the story? And of course, as part of this, there's a recognition that there's something called... There's a tendency toward cultural amnesia, where things that happened that are in an oral culture end up becoming myths, and then they're thought of, even in that culture, the subsequent culture, they're thought of as stories because it's the gods. It becomes, the golden cows.
So what does that mean? Important history gets lost, or you have to read the stories carefully to look for the historical traces?
There's that. I mean, if you're looking for the flood, there are flood narratives in numerous histories, including in India and so
Babylon.
It seems like maybe all it takes is to just connect those things in time. And also ancient cultures recorded things like Halley's Comet and eclipses or eclipses. How would you say? Millionaire.
Eclipses.
Eclipses.
I don't say eclipse, but are we going to try to get that catch
eclipse?
On? I saw the eclipse. It's like a farmer who's blind now.
Eclipse.
I shouldn't have looked at the eclipse.
I use G-clips. So there are ways for us to use astronomy and ancient astronomical records to say, like, well, we know what day that was.
The Chinese saw that supernova the same day that, whoever did.
And so when you talk about like experts feeling like their expertise extends to a wider variety of knowledge, we see it all the time with tech bros who also think they're great at government and they know everything about sociology.
I should be able to design society because my first company went public.
That's right. My first company that made an app where you shot an angry bird with a slingshot is worth $11 billion. No less a person than Sigmund Freud proposed that the pharaoh Akhenaten is Oedipus.
That Akhenaten is Oedipus?
Yeah. And that the Oedipus story then connects Akhenaten and monotheism.
Right. Akhenaten was the pharaoh who switched over to a monotheistic religion.
Right. He taught monotheism to Moses.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
Maybe stick to psychoanalysis.
According to Freud. And so, this was Freud's theory. It's not what we know Freud for.
For some reason.
That theory didn't become like the the accepted historical sort of.
It does seem like a guy who's heard of two things, right? I can name one pharaoh, and I know one thing about Oedipus.
Yeah, but I mean, he's obviously very educated and also has like this desire. I mean, I'm not above kind of saying like, oh, you know what? You know why that's like that? It's because this.
Freud did his own research.
Yeah.
Freud would be an ivermectin guy today.
But Freud did influence the thinking of kind of people who, kind of dispersed throughout Europe. We're talking about, Europe in the pre-World War I era, where there was a lot of conspiracy. There was a lot of
theories about conspiracy or actual conspiracy?
Both. There was still protocols of the elders of Zion flying around, but there were also a lot of nationalisms trying to connect themselves to ancient truths. So it was no longer just Christianity and Judaism and Islam all are dependent on
a series
Abraham,
of myths, yeah.
Having been real. Now you've got German exceptionalism, and you've got American exceptionalism, and you've got the Russians are very, very big on
finding the great Slavic cultures of the past.
Exactly, and these were not just the Roman Empire, but actually they're the cradle of civilization,
the Kievan Rus or whatever.
And it was a Russian by the name of Emanuel Velikovsky, who was born in Belarus in 1895. He was a doctor. He got his medical degree in 1921 and then emigrated to Berlin, was friends with Einstein, and then became a psychiatrist. He practiced psychiatry in the British Mandate of Palestine right up until the war, World War II, and then emigrated to the USA. And he felt like this project of connecting, he was going to take up again the project of connecting the biblical stories to contemporary archaeology and to, thinking about examining history through the lens of ancient sources, let's just say, and making connections that other people failed to see.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You always want untrained people spotting the connections. This is like Freud hearing of two guys and deciding they're the same guy.
So, like, Egyptology had produced a lot of, again, in the mid-19th century, had produced a lot of archaeological new evidence that people were examining not just out of a thrill of finding sarcophagi and making mummy brown, but were, again, it seemed like another opportunity to make history coherent. And
grand unifying theory.
That's right.
'Cause that's where you make your name.
And one of those documents was discovered in Egypt in 1829. It was called the Ipuwer Papyrus, or papyrus. What did we decide we were going to say?
I think papyrus, but you tend to say papyrus.
Let's say papyrus. The Ipuwer Papyrus, which was written in the 13th century BCE,
okay,
but was clearly telling stories that were much older. And a lot of sort of biblical scholars felt like a lot of the stories had striking similarities to the 10 plagues of Exodus.
Okay.
And so the Ipuwer Papyrus
or
papyrus sort of suggested a date of the ancient, and this is, kind of easy to connect to real events in the historic record, suggested a date of, between 1990 and 1800 BCE for the events of the what we would think of as Book of Exodus plagues.
And it's mentioning just, there was some bad stuff. There were some flies. There was some hail.
Yeah, there was a lot of, that blood raining from the sky. I mean, maybe not that,
but it's speculative. It's vague enough that it sounds like it could be a reference to the plagues.
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, it's not. They're not saying.
Boy, Moses sure got mad when he waved his stick.
Yeah, and some of it is like the Nile turned to blood, literally. So that probably didn't happen, but it's an interesting.
Something happened that they described that way.
Yeah, and it is an origin story. If this ends up being the mythological precursor to the Book of Exodus, that's one way of interpreting it.
Yeah,
it's another way of interpreting it that assuming the Book of Exodus is telling a true story. Here's a document referencing it that from 400 years before the events of Exodus are put into. I mean, biblical scholars.
Right. Before there's a Torah.
Yeah, they find the story of Exodus. They trace it back to, again, sort of known events, and they locate it somewhere between 1500 and 1450 BCE. So Velikovsky writes a series of initially pamphlets and then a book called Worlds in Collision that he publishes in America in 1950. He follows it up with Earth in Upheaval Ages in Chaos in 52 and Earth in Upheaval in 55.
It sounds like he's writing about something broader than the Exodus timeline.
He is, because he's trying to do this sweeping theory of everything, but there needs to be explanations for these cataclysms, because he's a medical doctor. He's trying to use science. That's the key.
Yeah,
you want to eliminate myth.
It's got to be naturalistic explanations.
There has to be natural explanations for why the Nile would run with blood, or, there would be locusts everywhere. And he felt that electromagnetism was the cause.
Oh, wow.
And that
I would not begin with electromagnetism.
No, you wouldn't.
I would think
so.
It was some weird climate thing. It's plants. Like, why is this river red? Probably electromagnets.
Well, and what electromagnets, the reason that is a problem, or the reason that electromagnetism is affecting the world in this way, is because of the astronomical effects of gravity of other planets that are moving not in ways that we think, but like there have been times where Mercury got close enough or out of its orbit enough and proximate to Earth that it caused the fall of the Tower of Babel.
Oh, wow.
And that Jupiter moving around in space was the cause of Sodom and Gomorrah collapsing.
Well, this is a guy just going, there's clearly he's not basing this on any astronomical evidence.
No.
He would not have any evidence that Jupiter somehow left its orbit and then went back.
No, but this was happening at a time when astronomy was still not in its infancy, obviously, but it was still developing its theories, right? This is Einstein's out there.
This guy met Einstein.
Yeah, he not only met him, has years and years of correspondence.
He should say, hey, Einstein, do you think Jupiter made the Tower of Babel fall down? And then Einstein could have been like,
well, I do not think that this is what you are thinking.
Other theories?
But yeah, his daughters, after Velikovsky died, they published like a whole series of letters between him and Einstein, presumably about other things. How's your wife? I don't know. I haven't read the letters. But no less a person than someone you already mentioned, Stephen Jay Gould, said that Velikovsky was neither a crank nor a charlatan. He was just gloriously wrong.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he had his theory holds together, but didn't happen.
But soups dupes wrong. But this may not surprise you or any of our listeners, but Velikovsky's books were bestsellers. People loved them, and they sold like hotcakes. And so he was in the in the 50s, 60s, and then really in the woo-woo 70s, was a popular figure who had a different explanation for history that connected it to the
music of the spheres,
the ancients, and the music of the spheres, and the great cataclysm that befell them. And instead of volcanism or Neptunism, he had space reasons.
Gravity and magnets, and electromagnetic fields.
That's right. People love outer space. So now comes into the story a man, a German, by the name of Herbert Illig. And Herbert, looking into the historic record and realizing that throughout the West, the dates, and in particular the calendars, changed a lot over time. There were multiple calendars. For a lot of Western history, calendars began with the reign of a certain emperor.
Right. The reference dates keep changing.
How old is the world? Depending on whether you follow like a Judaic calendar or a Byzantine one. I mean, even now, a lot of calendars in the greater Western sphere are different and have different systems.
We shifted systems once in the 18th century.
That's right.
Was this guy a fan of Velikovsky? He knew Velikovsky's work?
He did. He was a fan. And first of all, this has always been a problem in Western exceptionalism, which is sort of like the Greek Dark Ages. The fact that in the West, there wasn't a ton of progress, let's call it, from about 300 to about 1,000. But certainly between 300 and 900, let's say Charlemagne, 300 to 800. There just wasn't much to recommend the West relative to what was happening in China or the Islamic Golden Age, right? This was a time of doldrums.
Stasis,
let's call it.
Although I think there's pushback history on this now. The Dark Ages actually had tons of, there's got to be a hot take on the Dark Ages. They weren't so dark.
They weren't so dark.
They weren't even dim. But yes, that's how we think of them.
Illig was born in 47, so he's a boomer.
Is he alive?
He was born in Bavaria. He is alive.
Could we have him on the show?
We maybe could.
Maybe he should be your guest host instead of me.
Hey, buddy.
Is he very old?
I really want to talk about your...
Now, you were crazy when you were young. Now that you're old, are you more or less crazy?
Is time a flat circle? Yes or no? There was a group in Germany called the Society for Reconstruction of Human and Natural History that took off from Velikovsky and I think was an incubator of a lot of this kind of theory. And there was a lot of sort of suspicion about things like radiometry and dendrochronology.
The counting the rings of trees.
Carbon dating things. That all seemed very much like, not that it was wrong, but that it was wiggly. Mm-hmm. It was a little bit too loosey-goosey. And as we've seen, there was a lot of 19th century science that felt real, that was widely accepted, universally accepted, that then later is like, oh, wait a minute, they just had a couple of pretty big things wrong about it.
And those dating results did have wiggle room. They did have margin of error. Sometimes they were wrong.
That's right. But there was also a lot of stuff that needed to be accounted for. Like, for instance, very little evidence in the Western tradition of the years 600 to 900.
Wait, what? There's missing years. There's nothing much happened.
Nobody wrote anything. Nobody really appeared.
No podcasts.
Like no epical events. it just, as you say, just kind of, it seemed
true,
like,
yeah. Name your favorite guy from that time.
yeah, the West was just sort of churning. And Illig came up with an explanation, which was, I think, a pretty great conspiracy called the phantom time theory.
Yeah, he really swings for the fences here.
He does.
People like to know how far we are into the episode. Like, did you go an hour before
we're 59:43. I should have waited 15 more seconds.
Wait, what is it? I'm going to take a drink and you can tell me again what it is. What's it called?
No, we got 9 seconds. Keep going. Keep drinking. Keep drinking your Diet Zero Sugar Dr. Pepper. 3, 2, 1.
You have to say what it is and then I'll do a spit take. The time won't actually match because we probably edited something out.
That's true. The phantom time hypothesis. And that was that in the 8th century, Emperor Otto III of the Holy Roman Empire and Pope Sylvester.
I knew there were going to be popes. This is Godfather 3.
It is.
Sylvester's such a good name for a pope.
It's a really good, and especially a conspiratorial pope. They felt like it would be very auspicious for them to be living in the year 1000.
Right.
It was, by our reckoning, the year 700. But at the time, the contemporary calendar, the one we use now, although it had been conceived in 525, so during this period, the missing years, conceived by an Eastern Roman monk by the name of Dionysius Exiguus.
Okay, I'm sure that's how you say it.
He said that he hated the fact that the Diocletian calendar was based on a Roman Empire that had persecuted Christians.
I see. So it's problematic.
It's problematic.
It's anti-Christian to use the Roman calendar.
And so he used the science of the day.
Once again, white Christian men, always the ones who are truly being persecuted with an unfriendly calendar.
That's right.
Just a reminder about lions and catacombs every time you look at your desk calendar.
He wanted to base the calendar on the life of Jesus. And so he went to the Gospel of Luke. And in the Gospel of Luke, it says, in the 15th year of Tiberius, Jesus was about 30-ish.
You don't want to base your calendar on that. He's dead or whatever.
So Exiguus did some counting, and he turned the year, what would have been 247 on the Diocletian the Diocletian calendar. He said, no, actually, it's the year 532.
And this did actually happen. This is not part of Herbert's crackpot theory.
Right. Although it was not widely adopted.
Oh, okay.
Exiguus was just saying, this is what it should be.
I have a better system. These are like the shows we do on French revolutionary calendars and people who think there should be 13 months.
Exactly.
Okay.
And really, it was only widely adopted by Charlemagne, or during the time of Charlemagne. It had gone out through the monk community. It had been on the monk message boards.
It was in the newsletters.
And so, what we think of as the calendar that we still use to this day, the Anno Domini, the year of our Lord way of looking at the Western calendar, was only really starting to be widely adopted in Europe in about, the reign of Charlemagne was 1750 to 1815, something like that.
Wait, Charlemagne?
Charlemagne.
1750 to 1815?
Oh, I'm sorry. 750
to
815.
Okay. You have a different phantom time theory where you think Charlemagne lived in the Enlightenment.
Yes, well, as we'll see, not that far off. So I just had some house guests over, and they stayed for a week, 10 days, I think. And as part of being a a generous host, I surrendered my bedroom, the master bedroom, to my guests, and as part of making up their bed, I put on my Miracle-Made sheets, and just to see kind of what their reaction would be. And right away, the next morning, my guests came out and said, "God, what great sheets!" And I said, "Let me tell you, my guest friend, about Miracle-Made sheets. The thing about Miracle-Made, because I have a bedroom, my master bedroom, I keep cold, partly because it's built on top of a bomb shelter. And so it's not that I keep it cold, it's that it's naturally cold, and I don't make a great effort to heat it up. But Miracle-Made sheets are temperature regulating. So rather than stack the bed with 1,000 comforters, Miracle-Made sheets actually kind of work because they're silver infused. They actually function kind of as a temperature regulator, and they're actually warmer than they might seem at first blush because they're not super heavy. They're not flannel sheets. They have this feel that feels very luxurious, very silky. And as I was happy to tell my guests, the silver technology is antibacterial. They stay clean and fresh up to 3 times longer than regular sheets, which means fewer odors, fewer wash cycles, way less laundry. And my house guests couldn't have been more thrilled to discover that not only did I surrender my bedroom, but I gave them my premium sheets. And now, here's your chance to get those same premium sheets. I love saying premium sheets. Upgrade your sleep by going to trymiracle.com/omnibus to try Miracle-Made sheets today and save over 40% when you use the promo code OMNIBUS. Then you'll get an extra 20% off of that, plus a free 3-piece towel set. These also make an amazing gift. A lot of birthdays coming up in the spring, as we know. And they come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk. So go to trymiracle.com/omnibus and enter the code OMNIBUS at checkout. Thanks to Miracle-Made for sponsoring this episode. It's only in 800, 900 that the Western world is adopting AD as the calendar.
Okay.
Leaving behind the Diocletian era. Portugal didn't fully switch over until 1422.
But that's not that far off, right? Like how much does it move the goalposts?
Well, I mean, the calendar switched from 247 to 532.
Oh, okay.
So 300 years.
Yes.
And so this would have been, this 300-year sort of switcheroo. And so Illig's theory was that Otto III and Pope Sylvester, who were born in the 8th century, right around this same time, wanted it to be the year 1000. Now, they were not citizens of Otto III was the Holy Roman Emperor. He was emperor as a descendant of Charlemagne's work, right? He inherited the Holy Roman Empire from Charlemagne. And, of course, Pope Sylvester also living in a post-Charlemagne world. But Illig ignored that and theorized that these two just basically took 300 years out of the calendar and made it the year 1000.
They just skipped 300. It would be like us deciding today it's actually the year 2300 or 2500 or something.
And the 300 years they took out of the calendar was back in the Middle Ages.
And this explains why nothing happened. Oh, I see. They didn't take out well, I guess for them, they just moved the date up. So that would mean the 300 years immediately before them didn't exist.
Well, the 300 years between between 247 and 532.
Oh, I see. They kept some dates before them.
Yes. Oh, they kept everything before it. They just said it happened a lot more recently than this missing.
So it's not that the years 700 to 1000 are missing? Other more distant dates are missing?
No, Illig's theory is that 700 became 1000.
Okay.
And that in order to account for these missing years, the Pope and the Emperor forged a bunch of documents attesting to the history of those 300 years.
I see. So anything we have from those years is part of a clever cover-up.
That's right. Including Charlemagne himself.
Charlemagne's not real.
Charlemagne is not real. Alfred the Great in the UK who expelled the Vikings.
Yep, they did fall into the gap. Mind the gap.
Yep. These are stories made up. And of course, at the time, there were very few.
Is that the idea? They could get away with it because hardly anybody was literate?
And because they were the emperor and the pope, they could take those books to monasteries, give them to monks, say, this is the story.
But it is kind of weird that they're saying it's very important at the time that they be living in the year 1000. But also, no one would have known either way what year it was.
I think that's probably true.
I mean, it's an open question whether, because, there's all these stories today that there was a lot of apocalyptic doomsaying around the year 1000. Mm-hmm. And I think historians disagree on whether that actually happened or whether it's a modern day invented tradition.
I don't think most people probably knew what date it was.
I think you're right. But in that world, why would anybody bother to falsify the date that no one knew?
Well, right, except that it's, that it was known within these knowledgeable circles. And because the date was already switching from one calendar to the other.
Sure.
That this would have been.
Why was did Herbert think the monks are in on it, or were these two able to fool even the monks who should have had a better idea that hundreds of years were missing?
I think the idea was that this was a conspiracy rooted in the top, and that the monks were also bamboozled by, do you remember all those things?
Do you remember Alfred the Great?
Yeah.
Nope.
Right.
I thought what they would be is like, yeah, all those things really did happen that you remember, but they had different dates as well. We're going to roll their dates. But no, it's they just disappeared a lot of recent history even.
Yeah, Illig's...
According to Illig.
Illig's theory is not especially coherent.
You believe it, but you don't think it's coherent.
And he's not the only one. Right? This is
not original to him, or it is?
This is his book was published in 1996
or 1666, unclear.
It's called The Invented Middle Ages. He says there's no evidence of the years 614 to 911.
Wow.
And I have said for many years that the year 1997 didn't exist.
That's true.
Except for Radiohead's seminal record,
OK Computer.
OK Computer.
What about Titanic?
Which clearly did happen, and I guess
Titanic must have come out.
But that we could all be retconned, and those could be 1998 or 1996.
Right, we're just misremembering. We're like, yeah this happened the year before 1998. It must have been 97.
Can you remember anything from then?
It would be more difficult to do it today because people would have noticed that their calendars jumped one.
Yeah, and there'd be like all that date coding on people's phones, but I bet you Apple could go in and wipe all that away.
There's still a lot of, I'm writing the wrong year on my checks. But I still think even those easily confused people would notice if a year went away entirely in the 90s.
Yeah, right. But
in the Middle Ages,
200 years from now, if the metadata is all wiped and changed, and people are looking back and they're like, I don't know, 1990, 2000. Gen Z is wearing the exact same clothes today that we wore in 1991. What if I said all those 30 years was gone and all the Gen Z and baggy pants and crop T-shirts are...
And there's all that stuff about time that seems so subjective anyway. Like this new genre of blowing people's minds by saying, it's now been longer since Donald Trump came down the escalator than the Beatles were together or whatever, or what, I don't know. So just something like that. That is true.
And there were a lot of sort of not companion theories, in some ways competing theories, during the 90s for this archaeological revisionism. And in the case of, again, now we're back to Russia, a math professor who was very good at math and very influential in math, by the name of Anatoly Fomenko.
But being good at math doesn't mean you can... Is he going to agree with this count of the years?
No, but he has another, he has a new chronology that Jesus lived in the 12th century.
Oh, really?
That Greece, Rome, and Egypt, all of their histories were in the Middle Ages. That most of what we think of as Chinese history was invented by Jesuits.
And Gilligan's Island was on in the 80s. Genghis
Khan and the Mongols were Russians, not Mongolians.
And this is a Russian guy, coincidentally, who has this theory.
Yeah, and this is all a kind of theory of Russian exceptionalism that gained a lot of traction in Russia. And part of what's great about conspiracy theories is it makes it seem like you're being lied to.
Is this related to the thing we did the show about where actually like all the great structures of antiquity are... No. All the recent structures that are fake old were actually real old?
Were actually real old.
Like World's Fairs were actually from some forgotten civilization.
That's
from
right.
the time of Atlantis or something?
Yeah, the Lincoln Memorial actually is evidence that America was...
Yeah, it was built by aliens in the,
Right.
in the 3rd century AD or
I
something.
mean, it's contemporary with that. A guy named David Roll in 1995 published a book also called A New Chronology, which is a popular title. If you go into the disambiguation in Wikipedia and you say New Chronology, they're like, okay, which one do you want? He believed that, that all of history came forward 350 years. And a lot of the evidence for that is that Romanesque architecture survived in Europe a lot longer.
It just seems like it shouldn't have been that much of it.
Why do we still have Romanesque churches that were built in 800? Derp.
What's the scientific way to argue against all this?
Well, so
like it's easy to say, well, you're a crackpot. Occam's razor says the traditional dates will be right. But can you? I don't know. What could you look at?
Some of the evidence for it is
well, that's not what I asked.
Is like almost all medieval manuscripts are copies made of. I mean, there is so much of what we think of as the surviving evidence of history, including the statuary, including all the mathematics, the Library of Alexandria. We know it because monks made copies of it during this very period. So why wouldn't those copies maybe just have been Pope Leo telling them when to...
Well, that's not evidence.
Not evidence, but it's not evidence against it.
Fair enough.
I mean, some of the evidence against it is that, like I said before, the Islamic Golden Age and the Tang Dynasty,
right,
both well-recorded and documented eras of great flourishing of culture, happened during these exact years.
And is there any way to show that parallelism with the missing years? I mean...
Well, yes, and a lot of that is astronomical. You can see it in...
Sure. If somebody recorded a supernova before the gap and a comet after the gap, then the gap...
There it is.
Can't.
Right, I mean, China and Arabia also had calendars.
Yeah.
Different systems that are continuous and consistent, right? And that incorporate a lot of other observations besides astronomical ones, right? The like weather.
Sure.
I mean, and that lines up with dendrochronology. But more than anything, it would require, again, like as you've pointed out, a vast conspiracy of people throughout not just the Middle Ages, but throughout the world to deny that the 300 years of things that happened didn't happen.
Yeah. And everyone who knows what the date is would have to lie.
Would have to lie. Right.
But it's such a great conspiracy theory because, what you want out of a conspiracy theory is everything you know is wrong.
Right.
And this is the most basic thing, which is, well, I definitely know what year it is. No, you do not. It is not 2026 right now. It is, what's the gap?
It's actually 1726.
It's 1726 this year.
That's right.
I'm going to get funny New Year's glasses that have like 1726 on the eyes. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to 3D print them.
It'll be a great party when you show up.
It'll be ringing in 1727, guys.
Yeah, I mean, if you're willing to believe that birds aren't real or that that Democrats are like taking the adrenal glands of babies in the basement of a pizza parlor, this is not just the absence of a new fact. Those are good, but this is not just the absence of a new fact. This is actually like, I affirmatively thought it was 2026, but boy, was I way off. I should be wearing a 3-cornered hat because it's 1726. And it's just far enough away, and there was so little historic record really, relative to what we knew about even 400 years later, that most people, they couldn't tell you when Charlemagne was Holy Roman Empire.
Exactly. Like if you tell somebody, no, the deal breaker here is the existence of Alfred the Great. Really, how many people are going to be like, You know what? Hey. You're right. I care deeply about the existence of Alfred the Great.
But David Rohl and Herbert Illig and Emmanuel Velikovsky, or Emmanuel Velikovsky.
Emmanuel in space?
Well, no. So Velikovsky died a long time ago, but Rohl and Illig and Anatoly Fomenko.
Oh, right. Fomenko.
They're all full boomers, bro.
They're alive and kicking here in the early 18th century.
They're alive
as they see it.
And in some ways, like Fomenko is still a math professor at Moscow State.
Let's put their money where their mouth is. When those guys die, will their tombstones say, 1650 to 1730? Or will they use the old date from before they figured out the conspiracy? It will be like, born 1950, died 1730. They're like time travelers.
Well, it might be like, I just recently wrote up the outro of the Omnibus Project in order that that guest hosts can read the outro
along like I used to.
And I put the many goods and cheese in parentheses because some people have expressed that they think it's non-canonical.
That's like the missing 300 years of Omnibus.
So you don't have to say many goods and cheese as you read. So far, I've only had one person read it, and she chose to read many goods and cheese.
Want to know.
But it may be on their tombstones that there's a paren.
Right.
Just hedge your bets.
Do any of them want to put the years back? Or to take the years out? Like, are they like, we need to subtract 300 years from the calendar? Is this like a political movement? Change the Gregorian calendar? Does anyone want it to be 17? It would be confusing because you can skip years, no problem. But once you go back, there are duplicate years.
Yeah.
There would be a second 1726 to deal with.
I feel like this is more of a, hey, guess what? Than it is like a political movement. Like, if we don't put the dates back right, like God is angry at us. If we don't put the dates back on the fact that Jesus was maybe 30-ish years old during the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius, which, of course, you're going to base a calendar on that.
There are probably some people right now who feel like they've lost 300 years of their lives just listening to this show. Just where to go?
Listen, we've done so many episodes. There are people who have lost.
There's the phantom time.
Years.
How much of your life did you waste listening to podcasts? That's a sobering wake-up call.
But, if you think about it, every year listening to podcasts is like 100 years.
Sure.
So
with the wealth of detail and fascination and incident it brings to your life.
Maybe they gained 300 years.
We're making it back. And that concludes the Phantom Time Hypothesis. Entry 928.PR1027, certificate number 22651. In the Omnibus. Futurelings, do not look for us on social media.
No.
We're there, but don't look for us there.
No, don't.
Because it's a waste of your time.
Boo.
And ours. Go outside.
Sure, touch grass.
Or if you're in France, touch dirt in your grass-free parks. I don't know how that became a thing.
Touch dirt.
You can find at Omnibus Project, I'm sure at various locales.
That's true.
Maybe you and your team should be like putting Omnibus more front and center on social media now. Why not? Have an Instagram account just for Omnibus.
This is one reason why, even though Grant, the manager, is now managing the program, we still need an intern.
Is that what you call him? Grant the manager?
Grant the manager.
Granager?
I want to have a catchier name for him. I want to have a catchier name than Omnibus 2.0. But what I've learned about myself is I'm not a brander.
Neomnibus.
Yeah, I'm not good at branding. That's its own job. It's its own special
You were the one
job.
that accidentally called Chandler Corinthian back in the day.
And we called him Corinthian for 3 years.
You could call Grant Galatian. It starts with a G. So yeah, maybe Omnibus will be on social media when John hires his intern.
Yeah. We'll be on TikTok, a place I've never been.
You can send email to the omnibusproject@gmail.com. You can mail things to some place in Burien. I don't know where.
Come on. It's
starts with a 20.
No, it doesn't start with a 2.
Because we're here where the streets have no name.
It's care of Omnibus Project at 609 Southwest 150th Street, number 48084, Burien, Washington 98166.
Did you choose box 408784 or whatever it is when you went to this place? You were like, what's your catchiest box number?
I said,
because I'm going to have to say it a bunch of times.
48084.
Did they give you a bunch of options?
Yeah. And I said, I'll take that one. It's the same forward as it is backward.
What is it?
48084.
Oh, it is good. It's a palindrome. Everything's divisible by 4.
Uh-huh.
I mean, is 0 divisible by 4? Not
yes
really.
and no, maybe.
Schrodinger's 0. That's great.
Yeah,
that was much better than the old forbidden one, which I shouldn't say because it'll just confuse people.
Yeah, no, don't confuse people. What confuses people is I say number 48084 instead of box 48084.
Because that's what this store does.
Yeah, well,
if you put box, it would still get there.
But what they want, this is the United States Postal Service.
Oh, it is.
And they will accept things from other deliverers.
If you don't put box?
If you don't put box. Because box is like, boo, we can't use a P.O. box. But
was this explained to you by the post office?
Yeah.
It's not their choice. It's the private shipping companies that are like, well, I saw the word box. I'm not going to take that.
Yeah, but if you say apartment, that's wrong. It's not an apartment.
You just say number.
You say number, and then the UPS driver shows up at the post office, and they're like, oh, my God, again?
I bet they don't get fooled. Like,
No,
they
they
know. They see that address, and they're like, this is going to be a freaking post office.
Yeah, but when you mail it, they don't, whoever it is in Indiana doesn't go, wait, that's a post office.
I refuse to put this in the mail.
That's right.
Of course, I still have some mail, I think.
Oh, yeah, what do you got over there in the mail bag?
I don't actually remember.
Old-fashioned mail.
This is something on cloth, but I haven't opened it yet. We're all going to learn together, including on video, some of you watching. Dear John, parentheses, and Ken, if you're reading this, I've been parenthesized out of my own show.
Look at that.
Fair enough. I've been meaning to send this to you, John, for a while, but I've held off because I didn't really have anything for Ken. I wanted to leave him out. I guess me leaving the show has really helped out this guy's sending you stuff.
Yeah, he just wants to send it to me.
He doesn't have to find a token gift now.
And Ken, if you're still around.
These are from my days as a World War II living historian. I guess that means reenactments because he was part of a group that portrayed the Black Watch Royal Highland Regiment, part of the Chindit campaign in Burma.
Oh, yeah, over the Burma.
That's funny. He's like, I can think of no one else that might have an appreciation of the Chindits. And sure enough, your eyes just lit up.
Well, this has got to be one of those handkerchiefs that's also a map, or it says, like, help me, rescue me in oh, no, it doesn't.
It's got an inspiring Kipling-esque poem. Oh, no, it's actually anti-war. It's Rupert Brooke. Sorry.
Oh, you thought it was going to be the white man's burden?
I thought it was going to be something awful about Gunga Din.
If I should die, think only this of me, that there's some corner of a foreign field that is forever England.
Ah, the British love this.
Yeah, they do.
And a patch.
Oh, hey, that patch can go over here with this patch.
A patch for you. We also got, this one's more for me because I actually know this guy. This is my friend Fritz, who maybe is no longer at Google, but he's a former Jeopardy champ. But he enjoyed your MGM auction story because he once stayed, if you'll recall, there was a Debbie Reynolds branded hotel that off the strip that she used to display her stuff, her collection. And he actually stayed at the Debbie Reynolds Hotel at a very early Comdex. Is this 93? Would that have been one of the first Comdeces?
I guess so.
I don't know what year Comdex started. The hotel was only a block from the convention center, and yet it somehow fit my cheap budget, says Fritz. That should have been my first clue. What a sad spot it was.
Oh, no.
The hotel had a worn-out 50s vibe. The only casino was a bank of a few dozen old slots. The AC didn't work, and when he ordered some breaded fish in the coffee shop, it was still frozen on the inside.
Don't do that.
Debbie seemed to think that she could make a Vegas casino work with just a dash of pain and the old Mickey Rooney, let's put on a show. She performed the nights he was there in the showroom.
Whoa.
But the doors, it was right off the lobby. The doors were just curtains. And as I walked past one night, I could hear her on stage telling a joke in an Irish brogue. Oh, then Paddy the Irishman, he says... She was the very last Vegas entertainer doing Paddy the Irishman jokes. Fritz assumes, but he did see cool memorabilia in the lobby, like you could see the Singing in the Rain dress, but if you had to pay an extra fee to go see the rest of the stuff.
Oh, boo.
The next year he moved to the Stardust, and he...
Which is now torn down, right? The Stardust
I believe
is
that's
gone?
Right. And he sent us a clip from an old Vegas paper... Oh, no, sorry, a Lodi paper. Wow. I don't know why Lodi was covering this particular announcement.
Lodi, California?
Yes. But Ms. Reynolds added that the theater memorabilia she has been collecting for years will be put on display at the club. She'll also have a theater and do shows which she termed bawdy, rowdy, and crazy.
Yeah, I'd like to see Debbie Reynolds be a little bawdy.
Don't you love when people of the past say that something's bawdy?
Ooh, it's bawdy.
But it turns out it's not. She's just doing Paddy the Irishman jokes.
Yeah, although you never know. Like, a lot of those Irish jokes are a little dirty at the end.
Fritz is also the world's foremost expert on the Jeopardy buzzer. He's written a book about Jeopardy buzzer timing and optimization, which is like read. You'd think that would be arcana, but no, for people who are going on the show, it's the most important thing.
But
so it's read assiduously by...
As the GOAT, you know more about the buzzer than most people.
But I've stood on the shoulders of giants. I mean, Fritz actually sent me his one of the prototype USB buzzers he made.
Oh, is that the one you practiced on?
Yeah, like you can plug it into your USB port and it'll tell you how your timing is, how your reaction time is.
Wow. Did you go off of the color, or did you go off of just some nascent sense of time?
So if you aren't familiar with the arcana here, Jeopardy players know they can buzz when some light, a blue light.
Arcana? It's not arcana?
I'm sure it's both.
Arcane.
But it sounds like Tarzana, California, where all the good arcana is. Let's see. That's a good question. This will be a point for Papyrus people. No, arcana is preferred. Look at that.
Yay.
Good job.
Finally, John gets one.
And
anyway, you were explaining it.
Oh, I see. The blue lights go on, and that's how you know your buzzer's live.
Right.
But sometimes people find that if they wait for the lights, they're going to get beat by people who are just going off the host's voice and trying to anticipate the lights.
Right.
I was more of a voice guy.
But
Alex's rhythm was very reliable.
If you go right before it, then you're blocked out.
Exactly. You can't buzz early or you'll lock yourself out for a fraction of a second. So I found that just kind of by going on Alex's voice, there was because it's the same person activating it every game.
Right.
Currently, Michael Harris is our buzzer enabler. And he's very regular. He's like clockwork. So it's a reliable increment.
And when you read the clues, do you try and do it?
I do.
Trebek style?
You do not want to shake anything up in a clue. And if you do, you don't want to do it towards the end of the clue. And it gets to the point where if there's any ambiguity, like, is Ken going to abbreviate the word organization, or is he going to say org? Is he going to say another 27 million, or is he going to say another $27 million? I'll actually confer with Michael in advance, so we both know how the clue is going to end.
Right.
Just because I don't want the wrong person to win on the buzzer because my timing was not accurate.
See it.
Here's another postcard from, always people sign their names right where the post office puts this stamp.
Yeah.
It looks like Marchand?
Mm-hmm. It's Marchand.
And Irving? That can't be right. Those are not names.
Are you sure it doesn't say Marshawn Lynch?
Marsha and something?
Okay.
I don't know. It's a Saint-Pierre et Miquelon password, postcard, which I think could be an omnibus topic. You know, those islands off Newfoundland that are still French controlled.
Yeah.
Dear Ken and
Acadia.
John, mostly Ken, to celebrate our 25th anniversary, my wife and I drove to France from Winnipeg, home of your hat.
Oh, there you go.
I wonder if they know Arnie. Ken is probably aware of how this is possible. 2 French-owned islands, fully part of France, off the coast of Newfoundland.
Why would I not be
or
the
Newfoundland,
one
as they say
knew that it was possible? That seems.
I wrote a book about map.
Oh, you
Arcana.
did. That's right.
people associate me with trivia for some reason. I don't know. But you would have known if I said, hey, John, how do you drive to France from Winnipeg? You would not say there's a tunnel through the center of the earth.
It's just that of the two of us, the one that maybe is incrementally more likely to have actually been there.
Is that you?
Is me, I think.
Probably, but I haven't been to any of the Atlantic provinces. Have you been to the Maritimes?
No.
Oh, see?
Boo.
So on paper, you think you're more likely to have been to a place you've
I've
never
been to Quebec City.
I've been
to northern Maine.
I've been to Montreal and northern Maine. I've never been to Quebec City.
No, I've never been to the... I really want to go. It's a nice drive.
This is pretty good. This is about your show about Radioactive Boy. Mm-hmm. Colonel M. Sherman, I don't know, am I doxing this guy by saying his name? Colonel M. Sherman Hago says he is not just...
Colonel Hago.
Maybe an active duty colonel, but also Omnibus Project's resident scoutmaster. He loves when scouting comes up. Our recent show about Radioactive Boy was particular interest to him.
Dennis Wilkinson, who is a New Englander, might disagree. He is also a real scouting.
Does Omnibus have multiple
person.
scoutmasters?
I think scoutmaster is one of the defining characteristics.
Well, this guy must outrank him if he's a full bird colonel.
I think that's probably true.
After considering your thorough and engaging reporting on the topic, I have concluded that unofficial recognition is warranted.
Oh.
Accordingly, it is my honor to bestow upon each of you an honorary Atomic Energy Merit Badge. We just earned the Atomic Energy. Is he allowed to do this?
I can't believe it.
Can you get honorary merit badges?
Well, sure. We did a lot of research.
This would have changed my whole scouting experience if I'd known you could get honorary badges.
Yeah, we did I think it's like an honorary doctorate. You have to do.
Maybe he's allowed to do this because this is an award that was retired in 2004. The analogous merit badge is now called nuclear science.
I see. And he is a scoutmaster in Orange County, California. So not really in competition with Dennis.
Right. They could divide up the country if they wanted.
That's right.
The badges enclosed here are the same as the ones David Hahn himself would have earned during the early 1990s.
Cool beans.
I love this. Thank you so much, Colonel.
Thank you, Colonel.
Maybe he's a Kentucky Colonel.
I don't know. Have you started using the appellation Colonel?
No.
Ken Jennings?
Because I feel like it would be stolen valor, maybe. But
I mean, it's not. You're literally a colonel.
But this guy could have written to us before about his Kentucky Colonel past, and maybe we just don't remember.
I mean, that's entirely possible. How do you spell his name?
Haugo. Are there few enough colonels that you can just find out whether there's a...
Haugo?
Yeah. It's an unusual name. Like if you told me that guy was Navajo, I'd be like, oh, okay.
I don't think it's a regular name.
You don't think it's a regular name? There's two kinds of names.
Is his name
regular?
Is his name Thomas or Philip?
Neither.
It's neither Thomas nor...
Did you know there are people whose names are neither Thomas nor Philip? There's a third category now. New kind of person just dropped. Not a Thomas, not a Philip.
Well, Thomas B. Haugo is an Army colonel.
Thomas B. Haugo.
But
Thomas B. Haugen.
That's not who we're talking about.
I have one more. I'm starting to think he's a Kentucky colonel. Okay, I have another box to open, and I realized I did not bring maybe I can get this open. I must have a key. Oh, I have my Swiss Army knife. Oh, and I don't need it. This is from John in Honolulu. And he sends us what?
What is it? Wait a minute. It's not a monkey, is it?
Well, it looks like he may want me to send some... Oh, no, this is just... Here we go. Here's the explanatory postcard. And a very important part of sending us a box is the explanatory postcard.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what is happening?
Yeah, sign your name where we can read it.
Aloha, John, parentheses, and Ken. I've been parenthesized again.
Parentheses.
And this time I have a question mark. Mahalo for this week's spam episode. Of course, important in the islands. Please enjoy these special spam flavors only available in Hawaii. Should we do the big reveal one at a time?
No way.
We have teriyaki spam. We have
spam.
Korean barbecue spam.
Probably really good.
Wow. I kind of want to... I don't think I'm going to leave all these with you. Maple flavored spam.
Mm-hmm. I have no doubt that you're going to leave them all
Canadians. With me. No, I kind of want one of these.
Well, which one would you take so far?
Maybe,
the Korean barbecue.
Maybe Korean barbecue, right? Okay, this is horrifying. jalapeno spam.
Ooh.
Right?
Wow. Okay.
I was kind of into all these because, these are things you would eat with ham. You might have maple flavoring. You might have barbecue flavoring, teriyaki flavoring. But here is jalapeno spam.
Yeah. I mean, I think the way I would eat spam these days
You would not have ham with hot peppers, right?
I would chop it up in eggs, or I would chop it up in some kind of stir fry. Right? Isn't that how you would eat spam?
Yes. Or you could fry up a You could fry up a slice with eggs, right?
Yeah, but I think it would be a component with either eggs or rice.
And here's a copy of Celebrating Alumni, the inaugural edition, no less, of Celebrating Alumni magazine from the Daniel K. Inouye Asia Pacific Center for Security Studies. I don't know if this is just packaging.
Oh no, that seems like something he's sending to me because of.
I mean, there's also a couple lanyards or whatever related to the DKI APCSS or DKIAPSIS, which is what I call the Daniel K. Inouye Asia Pacific Center for Security Studies.
The Hawaiians are right on the front lines, Ken.
They're going to know first when North Korea launches. Mm-hmm. We will know second, but Hawaii will know first.
We'll hear about it.
Thank you so much, correspondent whose name I already forgot, John. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you, John.
From Honolulu. This is like maybe the last. I mean, if people stop sending me mail, this might be the last time I have to bring omnibus mail.
I bet you that people are going to continue to say Ken ? Paren, whether or not. I mean, that just seems like a very Futurelings gag. Hey, John.
Ken? And Ken. Because they don't know if I'm here. I could be here. They didn't think I was going to be here today, and here I am.
That's right.
They thought I was going to be some Midwestern nerd talking about semiconductors or submarines.
No one expects the Kenneth Inquisition.
That's right. And look for Futurelings online, but the most important way to support Omnibus is to go to patreon.com/omnibus project, but I don't really see a penny of this anymore, so honestly, I'm not living and dying on this.
Come on. You want your friend John to not have to eat spam that someone sends him in the mail.
Even if I keep 1 can of this, you have 3 cans of spam left, and only 1 is the gross jalapeno kind.
But I'm saying, give me a little bit of Patreon membership in order that I continue to be able to eat takeout teriyaki.
Think how much you would have given me and John. Cut it in half and donate that to patreon.com.
No, the opposite.
I'm here unpaid.
No, I think a lot of people were like, why would I give money to that millionaire and his dumb friend? But now they realize it's just the dumb friend.
If it's just the dumb friend, why am I here? I feel like I'm still on the bandwagon.
Because I am one of your dumbest friends, and I make you feel smart.
Slow children need the most help.
You're like, Mindy, I am tired of you rolling your eyes at me. I'm going to go over to John's where...
He's wearing a hat.
Yeah, he wears a hat, and at least he's like, yeah, okay, maybe that's true.
He looks like a little bit like Yogi Bear, and he's in a swing revival band.
Your kids and your wife are like, I've had enough of you.
I do think the best thing about me leaving Omnibus, many bad things, but the best thing is that like you and I could actually just hang out and we won't just be all talked out. Like anytime you and I could go to lunch, we probably just talked for 8 hours the day before.
Yeah.
We don't want to go to lunch.
Although you and Mindy keep inviting me to your cocktail parties where there are no cocktails, which thank God.
It's why we don't call it a cocktail party.
But there's always some strange trifle. Somebody always brings some dessert where it's like, is that a dessert?
Is this the trademark of our parties? A strange trifle?
I feel like there's always some kind of dessert that's like, that feels more like a punishment. I mean, but there are good desserts.
But you're being clear that we didn't make the weird dessert, but we invited some weird guest who brought a characteristically weird dessert.
Yeah, I always eliminate the possibility of that problem for your other guests by bringing nothing.
It's true. No one would ever say you brought something weird.
Nope, they wouldn't. I mean, except for my family, my daughter.
They're your strange trifles.
They are. Aww. Futurelings, from our vantage point in your distant past, we have no idea how long our civilization survived. We hope and pray that the catastrophe we fear may never come. But if the worst comes soon, this recording, like all our recordings, may have been our final word. But if Providence allows, we wish you many goods and many cheese. And hope to be back with you soon for another entry in the Omnibus.